Hello and welcome to We Are the Famous EFC. I'm joined by Ryan Rooney. So thanks for coming on, Ryan.
No worries at all, no worries.
So I've got a list of questions to ask you about what you do. Do you want to explain a bit to the people who were watching what you do on that?
Yeah, so basically, I started when I was about 17, sort of releasing my own sort of music and things like that. And obviously I've always gone the Everton games and stuff. So a couple of years ago I started to try and merge the two and trying to do a few little Everton songs and things like that for TikTok. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, I obviously got a bit of a decent following on TikTok, and um yeah, that's pretty much it. It's not too exciting, but yeah, it's just sort of, a little sort of hobby that's turned into something I feel like I can really have a good crack at.
Yeah, Bolter. So what got you into music?
The Beatles, to be honest. I loved the Beatles growing up. Obviously got me like little sort of office slash studio, whatever you want to call it, little spare room in ours that I've converted, as you see, into a bit of a music slash Everton room. Um, and yeah, I mean, I've got a picture up of John Lennon there as well, and it's been the Beatles. I mean, growing up in our family, we
Yeah,
all love music, um, and yeah, me dad used to always play music in the car. So did my mum, and yeah, I got onto the Beatles, and I just fell in love with music. Wanted to play the guitar like John Lennon, and yeah, it sort of all went from there. I think I was about 8 years old when I started learning to play the guitar. So yeah, that's where it all sort of stemmed from.
nice. Um, Can you tell us about your journey on how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, I'll try and keep it as sort of short as possible. It's a good question, not to be fair, Adam.
Yeah,
How did I get here? I'd say, I've obviously, as anyone does really, I've had to sort of work hard in what I do. Um, in terms of when I was obviously, like I said, 17, I started to sort of try and release my own sort of music and stuff, which was a bit difficult at the time because it was just as lockdown hit. I was obviously, like, when I was 17, lockdown had just hit, so I started like a sort of music Instagram.
yeah,
And when the restrictions in lockdown sort of eased up a little bit, I started going to open mic nights and things, and I finally got a sort of little, I wouldn't call it a break exactly, but the owner of a bar called Only Fools on Seal Street,
mm,
the owner was in there, Craig, who I've become really good friends with. And yeah, he seen me playing at open mic night on a Thursday night, and the room was sort of was bouncing. Um, so he decided to give me a gig, and it sort of went from there. I started gigging in a place called Only Fools, like I mentioned, and then I sort of went to more the Irish bars where I gigged, some Irish songs, some sort of Celtic songs and things like that. Released a few a few tunes. My first one it was a song called Sweet Soul, if I remember correctly. I think that was my first one. And I think I released four or five more of my own tunes. Um, and then my last two tunes were called It Is What It Is in Belfast. That was sort of um, the overlap in terms of, I'd started making Everton content on TikTok and things like that. Um, and started doing the Everton songs. Um, and then, yeah, it's sort of last few sort of months, since October, when I sort of, when I posted the Element and Die song, and that sort of went quite crazy on the
yeah.
terraces
That, I,
and
I
on
love
TikTok.
that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Well, you get
element.
a little
Yeah,
little exclusive. I've got I've recorded it, and it will be coming out very soon. The Element and Die song. It won't just be on TikTok. So little
yeah,
exclusive for you there. Um,
nice.
but yeah. Yeah, I started sort of getting recognised a little bit more in Goodison and at the away games. Obviously with me TikTok content and stuff.
Yeah.
And then obviously the Element and Dice song came about, and I posted that, and it went, as I say, it went a bit mental. I had loads of messages from loads of different people for make songs for all different players.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, obviously now I'm sort of here. I've been invited into Goodison a couple of times. You know, I've I've been you know, asked to do a few other things that I can't really say just yet because it's in very early stages. I've really
Yeah.
released my song Goodison Park about Goodison Park as a farewell. Like I've just
Hmm.
mentioned, I've got the Element and Dice song coming out. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's sort of the short version of how I am where I am. Obviously that's all come with, hard work and setbacks and, being told that not that I can't do it, but being told, it's crap by trolls on the internet, and obviously a lot of support from me family and close friends, and
Hmm.
it's kept me going. And
Yeah.
yeah, although I feel like, it's like I said before, I don't feel like what I do is anything special in terms of, obviously I just make talk about Everton on TikTok and things. It is
Yeah.
something I'm really proud of, the sort of following and things and things like that I've acquired without being big headed. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not millions of followers; it's only a few thousand, but it's something I do really take pride in, and I'm happy to be in this sort of chapter, if you like, that I am now.
Nice, Ryan. Nice. And also, what are your thoughts on about the breaking news? What came over the last couple of hours about the women's having Goodison Park?
Yeah, I mean, it's I seen on, obviously, like the likes of social media and stuff like that. I think it's been taken a little bit mixed in
Yeah,
terms
I first
of.
heard it on Toffee TV with Baz and Ped.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I seen them on Twitter myself, and there's been a few. I think it's great for the women. Obviously, we won't have to knock Goodison down. I have
yeah,
seen reports that it will be a reduced capacity, so whether they knock part of the stadium down. We don't know. Obviously, it's only early stages, but I think it's great for the women. And obviously, I don't think at the minute, they will, draw in the capacity that Goodison can hold. So I think it will have to be reduced. But
yeah,
in terms of, the women who play for Everton, the it's only going to help grow women's football, which is, a good thing for society and things like that, in my
yeah,
opinion. And it's going to draw, hopefully, for the sport and for the women, a lot of attendance, because people, 6 months down the line, when we're all playing in when the men are playing in our big brand new stadium, shiny thing,
mhm,
you know eh, some fans will go to Goodison just to watch the women, for the women, and as well to sort of reminisce on old times and old memories and things. Um, and yeah, let's be honest, it's not going to be what it was, because, like I said, but whether they do, so maybe take the top of the main stand and be in the top balcony off, and maybe the top of the Bullens, so it's, a reduced capacity. We don't know, but even if they do that, it'll still be a place where you can sort of go and sit and, enjoy women's football. And yeah, I think it's, as like I said, I've seen a lot of mixed on social media, but
yeah,
the only thing I would have done, I would have probably announced it after Sunday.
yeah,
Obviously being the last game, I think that's put not a damp on it, but it's, I think this week should have all been about the last game at Goodison, the build up,
yeah,
and then after all the tears and trials and tribulations that Sunday's going to bring, we then all find out that, oh, it is going to stay there, and we can all sort of, I think, breathe then. But in terms of, like you say there, the breaking news, I think it's come sort of just at the wrong time. But overall, I do think it's a great thing to
yeah,
sort of, for the women, and for Everton fans as well, who, like I said, can go and reminisce on old times there, again.
yeah. 100% with you there, Ryan. I agree that it came out the wrong time as well. Ideally, should have came between Monday and Sunday after the
Definitely.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you going to be doing a song for him, Bradley Moore, like, because the way we've got Spirit of the Blues now, but it's got Goodison in it and marching down the Goodison Road and all that?
Maybe. I think Goodison Park, I don't think them songs will ever fade. I think Spirit of the Blues will still be on after we win. Hopefully our first game at Bramley Moore,
Yeah.
marching down a Goodison Road. I think it's always going to be a part of our identity, Goodison Park, and it's I
Hmm.
don't think it's never not going to be in our lifetime anyway. While we're alive,
Yeah.
I think the generation that is sort of when we all pass on and go to
Yeah.
whatever's next after
Yeah.
obviously we pass away. I think that'll be the real sort of, that's where Bradley Moore will feel like just they've known nothing different, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, like I mentioned to you earlier on today, I've got a daughter. She's turning 1 this month.
Yeah.
Um, I think more her generation who won't have real any memory of Goodison, that'll be the sort of the Bramley Moore era for them. However, in
Hmm.
terms of a song, that I wouldn't obviously I wouldn't say no to it. I think if it was right and it didn't sound it didn't sound crap, obviously I'd definitely have a crack at it. But I think us as a generation and our old generation, our dads, our granddads, and stuff like that, I think
Hmm.
they've passed on to us Goodison, and we'll pass on to our children Goodison, who then will pass on to their children. So I don't think the
Hmm.
songs like Spirit of the Blues, March Goodison Gang will ever fade. But
Hmm.
um, yeah, I'd definitely, if it was right, I'd definitely have a crack at
Yeah.
a song
Hearing
about
that
Bramley Moore.
Bradley Moore with the echo would give you like proper like goosebumps ready as well.
Yeah,
Because how
yeah, I know,
echo
yeah,
it is, yeah.
yeah.
And that what's your current goal at the moment?
Um, Personally, or sort of career-wise, do you mean, or both?
Career wise, if you don't mind me asking.
Yeah. Um, it's. I mean, obviously, I've got the podcast as well, the Riverside Toffees podcast with my very good friend Joe.
Yeah.
Um, my dream for as long as I can remember is to sort of um play at Goodison Park, to a full Goodison Park, a bit like Bellew did, but with boxing.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, that's probably not going to happen. I did get very, very as close as I possibly could to the dream when my new song come out, and I got to play my own song at Goodison Park in front of 500 Everton fans at the Junior Everton
Wow.
Sleepout. Um, I think, but now I think obviously it's sort of trying to grow the podcast, and hopefully, and I know, me current place of work, I don't mind me saying this because they all know me, that
Hmm.
I'd want to make a sort of a life out of Everton, and talking about Everton, and maybe releasing songs about
Right.
Everton, and things like that. That's definitely me goal. I mean, even I don't want to be mega mega rich. That's not what I'm saying. Just to be comfortable, but doing
Yeah.
something I care about massively, something I care about more than anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's sort of my goal at the minute. Um, I don't expect it particularly quick. I don't think it won't happen overnight. I know that. Me good friend Joe, who did the podcast with, knows that. But we do work hard at it, at the podcast, and you know I try and always be as regular as I can, um, posting on TikTok and stuff. And yeah, I'd say now that's sort of me goal, to sort of make a living out of doing what I love,
Hmm.
as well as experiencing as much as I can within the club. I mean, like I say, singing at Goodison a couple of weeks ago was so surreal. Being invited in with my daughter in sort of November time, that was absolutely mental.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah, stuff that'd probably be my goal now. Obviously, my personal life. Obviously, my goal is to be a good dad and a good partner. And yeah, they'll obviously go hand in hand. Hopefully,
Yeah.
well, they will. They will not. Hopefully, they definitely will. I'll always strive to be a good dad, but yeah, that's sort of me goal for now. I'd say yeah.
Belter. And finally, last question. How do you think that we'll do as we go into Branley more?
You've got to stay positive. Obviously,
Yeah.
we've had obviously, as everyone knows, we've had a very tough few years. Financially and on the pitch. And as fans, we've done as much as we can to keep the team going. You've got the 1878s now. You had the coach welcomes, and
Yeah.
we've done absolutely everything we can, and we've done it, and we've been a massive part of that. But now financially, we've got new owners, who look the real deal in my opinion. They've ticked every box that they've come up against at the minute. We've got obviously Moyes back at the helm, who knows the club and knows what it means to be Everton manager, knows what we expect as fans. Financially as well, we've got obviously the new stadium, which will, as you just mentioned, we're going into next season, and
Yeah.
it's going to draw a lot more revenue in. So it's all looking forward. We've got to stay positive, and I think we are sort of in that transition period over this summer where we've picked up the points that we needed to pick up towards the end of this season. The team seems to be playing. It seems like we got the right man in the manager's seat. It seems like we got good owners. We're going into a world class stadium, in my opinion. I think touch wood, the way things are going, we can look up again. I think the start of each season for the last 3 or 4 years has been just stay up, try and push on mid table. But I think it wouldn't, and this might sound crazy coming from if another from for another fan. This might sound crazy, but I think
Yeah.
if we did a bit of a Nottingham Forest next year, it wouldn't surprise me in terms of like, I don't think that's going to happen. But if we did, it wouldn't. I think, like I said, it wouldn't surprise me because I think we can only look up at the minute. Um, and we've been there before with David Moyes, fighting for Europe and things like that,
Yeah.
going on good cup runs and things. So yeah, I think going into Bramley Moor, it's very positive. I think there's a positive sort of order or vibe around the club at the minute. We love going to games again.
Yeah.
Away support as always is absolutely fantastic. Traveling up and down the country. Um, and yeah, the feel good factor's back, I think, and I think that positivity in the stands will show and reflect on the pitch, which hopefully will reflect in the hierarchy of Everton Football Club, and hopefully, as I said, we're just looking forward now.
Okay, that is it for the video. Thanks very much, Ryan, for coming on.
No
Do
worries.
subscribe to the YouTube channel, people. I give the video a like. Up the toffees. Bye bye.